This is the first time ever that I'm not going to use the forbidden lubricant that I've used most of my life for bike chains. And it has suited me well. Now my bike chains get greasy and they get dirty and things like that. And I was riding with a friend, Vincent, the last couple of weeks, and I noticed when he folded up his Sprint, he didn't have gloves on, he didn't have anything on.
The channel creator does not ride with people that are nude, nor does the channel creator ride nude. That, however, is not because he is opposed to it, it just has never happened. Vincent, in fact, was fully clothed, as he usually is. The channel creator was referring to Vincent not wearing gloves.
Now, mind you, Vincent keeps his trikes immaculate. I don't keep mine as immaculate as he does. I do like to keep them clean and brushed off, but I'm not nearly as detailed about it as Vincent is. I noticed that when he was folding up his trike, touching the chain and doing all that stuff, his hands didn't come out black and greasy. And I was like, why is that? Well, one of the reasons that it happens for me is because that is the grease and the dirt from one chain. One single chain. Of course, a recumbent chain, so that's equal to 3 chains on a regular bike. And so I thought, how do you do this? So I asked him about it. And he said, well, the trick for me that's worked for a really long time, paraffin wax. Now, I've heard about waxing the chain on all kinds of forums, and I've heard about all kinds of different lubes. I've read Bent Rider online, I've read Facebook, and everybody seems to have something that works for them, and that's great. I've tried BioShield, I've tried the other one that's unnamed, WD-40. I tried a lot of others, and they all seem to keep my chain dirty, and that's just how it is. But that's why I got the crock pot, because in there right now I have my chain in there cooking with some paraffin wax that I purchased. Interestingly enough, I got this ugly crock pot, and it was $1 less than all the rest of them at the Goodwill store. So I'm reusing it, recycling it for what I want to do here in the shop. Now, it is taking some time to melt all the paraffin, which I'm fine with. It's going to take a little while to heat everything up, but it is heating and it's doing pretty well. So it's melting the wax down, and as you can see, as it melts down and gets everything hot, it's going to start melting. We'll get all this wax melted, and then that is going to soak into the chain, and I'll probably have to do this 2 or 3 times because this was a very dirty chain. But these 2 blocks of paraffin are what I broke off of my big block. I got this at a Michael's craft store, so you can get this at a craft store. I didn't find it at Lowe's, so the big box store around my house I didn't find it, but I went into Michael's and I found this. So I've got a lot of wax here that I can use. I'm going to try 2 blocks and see how that works. I think that should sufficiently cover this chain. And that's it. So I'm going to get this chain waxed and let all the wax melt down and soak it in there really good and make sure that it's all covered, and then I'll take it out and let it dry and reinstall it. Meanwhile, I've cleaned off the rollers, the Trike rollers, both in the front and in the middle. And then I'm going to take the back wheel off and I'm going to clean up all of this mess. And I'll probably clean off the rear derailleur as well. It's got a lot of grease and all that stuff. I'm going to clean all of that off, and we're going to go with the wax. So stand by and I'll tell you how that works out in a minute. Boy, did those rollers have a lot of muck in them. That's how my whole drivetrain was. And I don't even have chain tubes. I don't like chain tubes because I think they gather a lot of dirt and dust inside of them. But using the wrong kind of lubricant evidently can do the same thing. So hopefully we'll see what happens when we get the chain waxed, when all that wax in there melts. I'm also going to do the same thing to the ELB's trike, and I'll probably do it to the road, and I might even do it to this down tube, because they're all going to need to be done. May as well get them done. Alright, so went and got some dinner and let the chain cook. And this is what we have. So I'm going to stir that around a little bit and get the air bubbles out of it. And make sure that the wax has gotten in all of the stuff. And it's actually turning the wax kind of dark, which means that I didn't fully clean it. So I might have to do that more than once, but my chain is actually silver, which is kind of surprising. I mean, it's not really. I knew it wasn't really that clean. Whirling this around like this tells me that I probably should have cleaned it a couple more times before I actually put it in the wax, because now the wax is dark. So that's okay. First time doing this, so we'll see what happens as I pull it out. We'll get it dried and cleaned off, and we'll reinstall it and we'll run it just to see what happens. Like I said, I've not used this method of lubricating a chain before, so I've already been pre-warned by Vincent to wear gloves because obviously it's going to be hot. I've been cooking it for a while. So we'll get it out of here and see how this works. Alright, so as you can see, that's pretty dirty. If I tilt the bowl, you can see the muck that's in there. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there's a lot of debris in there. So that tells me that I probably didn't clean it as well as I should have. I probably should have done that bath probably a couple of times. And I still have the opportunity to do that. I may do that because it really got black everywhere. So I may take the opportunity to clean that out anyway. And then I don't know that I'm gonna let that wax harden in there like that. I'm gonna just dump it out while it's warm. It's not gonna hurt anything, but it'll allow me to remelt some other wax and get it clean in there. Wow, what an adventure. So with just a few minutes of being outside, it literally was maybe 5 minutes. The chain is cool enough to take off the hanger and bring inside. It's cool enough to handle. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back on the trike. You think this is fun? You should try this with the Velomobile chain. Actually, you hook a string or something to it in a Velomobile, but it's still not very fun. I do have to say that this particular tool, this particular one is a park tool, but the chain separator and grabber has made fixing chains so much better. So even if you get a cheap one of these tools for a chain separator or a chain joiner, get one. It just makes life so much easier than trying to hassle with hangers and all that other stuff and fight and everything. This thing, just get one of these. So there you go, the proof is on my hands. No grease on the chain. That makes me feel a lot better. It also makes me feel a lot better about folding the trike and doing other maintenance on the trike, because it seemed like anytime I got around the chain line anywhere, I'd always end up with grease on me or on my shirt or something like that, and you know how that can be fun. I think I like it so far. I'm gonna have to ride with it a little while and see if it still is something that I want to keep trying to do. But I mean, it's just a couple of pieces of equipment that I got to take some time to do and do some maintenance on the trike that needs to be done occasionally. The good thing is while I had it up on my table, I also noticed that my tires are starting to get a little thin, which is fine. I like to wear tires out until they need to be changed, and so it looks like I'm probably going to have to put some on order here pretty soon, especially with these worldwide shortages of everything, which I don't understand quite, but looks like I got a little bit of thread showing on the tire. Alright, so yeah, I'll have to get some new tires on order. I guess that's good. When you're using these things, you wear things out. And it's better to be worn out being used than by dry rotting or something like that where it's sitting around not being used. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks for watching. Until next time, cheers.